My name is Vernae Taylor, and I grew up in Summit, New Jersey, born and raised. I love to laugh with my friends. I love to go to the movies. But recently, I became a published author. The Breakthrough. One of my best friends says it's insightful, it's inspiring, it's relatable. I mean, that meant so much to me that she said this about me, knowing me. But for you, it's going to be an up-close view of my challenges, my struggles, everything that I've been through, and how I made it out on the other side. So I believe that we are all breaking through, and I want you to break through too. So pick it up so it can change your life. And I've had choices that turned me into the woman that I am today. I managed to break past and break through all of those hard times. And this is true too. With the amazing group of authors I've asked to join me in the Breakthrough.
Welcome. It is your girl, Vernae Taylor. I am your host, and you are listening to our Breakthrough podcast. Thank you for those that have been rocking with us, and welcome if this is your first time here. This is the place where we can discuss real experiences with real people to give you the breakthrough map to go from breakdown to breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. And today we have a fabulous guest that I'm excited about. And so I need you to take out your pens and your paper, and I need you to get ready for what she's going to deposit in you today. So Erica Latrice is who we have today. How are you, Erica?
I'm good. I feel like we can wrap the show because that introduction alone, I feel like I already got my breakthrough, but I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my goodness. I am excited for you to be here and for people to hear you and your story and everything that you have to offer, because there's so much more than that meets the eye. So the first thing I need to ask you is, who are you and what do you do?
Yes, well, I am Erica Latrice, and I love my passion, my purpose. I say this so much, is helping other women to live theirs. And so I get to work with powerhouse, visionary, entrepreneurial, speaker, author women that have a message, and we turn it into a movement. And that's literally like what lights me up every single day.
Yes, I know. And even as you talk about it, it does light you up. And I think that's beautiful. I mean, because when you have a level of service like that, you know that you have a big heart, because it's something to like pour into other people and say, oh, I want to deposit into you to see what it is that you can manifest from that. That says a lot about who you are and your character. So I appreciate everything you do for women. I know that you've done a lot for me. So, and you know, the people don't know that, but it's amazing, because I'm sure a lot of people that you might have deposited, they go on and they move on and they do their own thing, and you may not hear from them again or see them. But I just want you to know that I'm honored that I can still stay connected to you and to what you've given me over the years. So I just have to give you your flowers, honey, while you're here.
Thank you.
Of course. So tell us about how you arrived to this place, right? Because you said you're looking to help other women, visionaries, really get their vision across. But how did you get to the point where you were clear on your vision, on your identity, who Erica was, that you were like, okay, I'm strong enough that I can now give this to someone else? So talk about that.
That's a good question too. So I think there were several moments that were just like, hey, you know, it's go time. This is what I'm meant to do. But what stands out to me was when I had no clue what I was meant to do. I remember having a dream about handing out babies to women. And in the dream, I was in this auditorium, and this woman from my church interpreted the dream. She's like, you're going to be on a platform, you're going to be speaking, and you're just, you know, that's what I see in this vision. And I was like, that has nothing to do with my life right now. Like I was like all the way like VIP section on the struggle bus at that time. So It made no sense to me. And I remember my pastor doing all of these messages around understanding your personality, your natural bend, and all of these things. And I was so busy like helping everyone else do what they needed to do with that assessment and teaching them how to get stuff done. But then I felt so empty. I'm like, but what am I meant to do? And the whole time I'd been doing what I was meant to do, it just didn't seem like anything because it came so naturally. And I think a lot of people experience that, where it comes so naturally, you feel like, well, no, it's supposed to be hard. Like it's supposed to be harder than this.
Right.
This is it, right?
Right.
So that was the aha moment for me around the time I had that dream and going to those workshops and things and just being more aware of what lit me up.
Okay, awesome. I mean, so where was that in life? So first of all, you talked about a lot of things, right? You talked about church, you talked about your pastor, right? Being a part of a community where people could help you and assist you in navigating that space, right? So not everybody has that assist, right? Or I know when I was younger, I didn't even have the idea of like, oh, mentor, coach, you need this, you need that, right? All these buzzwords that we talk about now that are so readily available and accessible to us that I don't think everybody had access to back in the day. So when did you arrive to that, and what was life?
Yes. Well, as I said, like it was definitely throughout life. I remember as far back as elementary school, like I was that person that when you got homework, I'm giving you extra homework. Like, don't tell me you want to achieve something because I'm like, oh, well, if you want to run for student council or if you want to make the step team, I'm giving like extra assignments. So I would always end up with like the leadership award.
You was a teacher?
Listen, I'd be putting people to work. Like, I'm the person you can never come and tell a goal to because I'm like giving action plans. So I remember that. Like, I remember so many times, like throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, I would have friends. They would say, you know, like everyone would come to me and tell me whatever they were trying to do, try out for cheerleading, make whatever team. And I'm like, all right, well, what you need to do is Monday through Friday.
Oh my goodness, you were a coach.
You know, yes, I used to do the announcements, like everything that I do now. I'm like, I didn't notice it, but I was doing it. I was already like, I remember in 5th grade, my teacher telling me, you have a PA voice. I didn't know what that meant, but next thing I know, she had to do the announcement.
Oh my goodness. Now I hear it. Yes, because I work at a school. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yes. So I just, you know, that's where it started. But the time with my pastor, I was fresh out of college, I think. Like it was after graduating college. And you're supposed to have everything figured out. And I felt like everyone around me knew what they wanted to do. That's how it seemed. But now in retrospect, they didn't know either. But it felt like that.
I know that's right.
Yes. And so around that time, that's when I really had to start doing some soul searching because there's nothing like rent and electrics and groceries that will have you like
on somebody
getting creative, right? So that's when it started transitioning.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. Well, that is a good segue into the next thing I want to ask you. When you say there's nothing like rent and all these responsibilities, right? And what you want to do and honing in on that. Talk about the soul searching that you mentioned. Like, how does one soul search? Because again, we need to speak to the people that don't even have this in their wheelhouse. We need to speak to the people that don't even understand what it means to kind of be introspective and go inward, because we live in a society where what you need, it's out there. It's in that car, it's in that person, it's in that title, it's in that accolade, it's in that degree, right? And so a lot of people are not even thinking about their soul and their spirit and what's going on inside. So talk about how you define soul searching and how you actually went about doing that.
Yes, come through, Vernae Winfrey. I'm like, this is good. So when it came to the soul searching, for me, a transition, I would say, was in college when I got saved and started just being more intentional about my spiritual walk. And my favorite verse at that time and still is Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. And when I started walking that out, that's where I was at. I was in a place where you talk about soul searching. I had no choice. It was called seek God or what, because there was no etc., no commas. I remember moving back to the place I attended college. Shout out to all my NC Staters in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I left and I just felt God leading me to come back to that city. I didn't have a job. I had nothing lined up. And so that was that moment. Like, I felt like that was my Abraham moment. In fact, that was like the message that was preached. Like, go
talk about Abraham now, because God didn't tell him where he was going. He was just like, go. And no wonder your faith. You're so rooted in your faith, because my goodness, for you to correlate that to Abraham, for you to say you didn't have anything lined up, but you just went. You just knew. You felt the pull. Oh my goodness, it just speaks to who you are and speaks to you really kind of identifying who you were at a really opportune time. You know, it was early, and I a lot of people don't find themselves in college. Some people don't even find themselves until it's really, really bad. So the fact that you went searching, like you said, you seek ye first the kingdom of God, is so big. Oh my goodness, that you is so deep. Like most people are just partying. They're trying to find friends. They're just trying to figure out, who am I? Like, nobody's really having those type of moments. So now you're in this somewhat wilderness space, right? And you don't have anything lined up, and you've been creative. Talk about some of the creative things that you had to do to kind of like stay grounded, or to even just stay motivated and inspired to do something, because I'm telling you, in entrepreneurship, it can be lonely. Yes. And we know how people don't understand, and you don't even know, right? You don't know what you know. So talk about what that felt like in that state.
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you for that, the vote of confidence that you're like, I pulled it together and people were partying. I don't make no mistake. God found me, but I didn't find myself. And evidence of that, I actually, when I graduated, I was pregnant at the time that I graduated and had my daughter. So I came out, like I was still trying to stay on that straight and narrow, but make no mistake. So I had to get creative, because it wasn't just me depending on me. It was my daughter. And I remember, like, so a few creative things that I did. One of I'll get into that. Like, I had a mentor that really opened my eyes up to what was possible. But at the time, I remember handing out flyers. I had my daughter strapped to my stomach. I'm out at the fair putting flyers in cars.
I can see you right now.
Yeah. I worked at a daycare with a whole degree. No experience, no business being at daycare. But I wasn't about to leave my daughter with just anyone. So I learned so much in that season, like definitely getting creative, trusting God. There are like so many testimonies, like so many miracles. Like when I think about Abraham taking those sacrifices and that ram in the bush, when I tell you, like at a time where I felt broken, ashamed, judged by so many people,
that part,
God just came through. Like it was so many miracles in that season. So it built my faith. It allowed me to understand, even in the hustle and the grind of entrepreneurship, nothing compares to nothing. No one can out strategize God, period. Like they just can't. And I learned that firsthand, just being sustained through that season and all the things that came from it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's super powerful. If people just get that, whoever's listening, I need you to get that there's nobody that can strategize like God, like the Lord. I mean, and you're right. It's one of those things where it's like, when you are like all alone, you don't know where to turn. Like you say, you feel judged, or people don't understand. You're less likely to reach out. You're less likely to lean on someone. So you have your baby girl. And I know that's just so beautiful. I love babies and I love kids. So I can just imagine what that was like, you're having your baby girl like strapped on as you're working, because that's what people say. I know my girlfriends that have kids, it's like, that's like their little sidekick. So,
yes,
I can imagine her like joining in and understanding mommy's grind. So that's important too, right? To show that to her. So talk about some of the people that you might have, or entities, other than, like you said, your church. Of course, you definitely seem like, Bible. So I know that you're reading, but who or what were you leaning on for support, if anything? Because we know that this can be lonely, but sometimes when you're isolated from the rest of the world, it can be really detrimental to your own well-being. So who, if possible, were you able to lean on during that time?
Definitely my mom. My mom was my rock. Like my mom was that person that it didn't matter what. You could be like, I'm writing with a pencil today. Girl, you can open a pencil factory. Like she was just my number one cheerleader. Like it didn't matter. It did not matter. She was my number one cheerleader. And even in that season, like still my best friend to this day it's just so amazing. Like we both were in need of two different things at that time, going through like what I had, she didn't, what she had, I didn't. And we were able to come together. I had a mentor at that time, Erica. Her name was Erica. It was like we just had so many commonalities. I met her at the church. Erica. And I didn't grow up in church. So I shout out to you for saying I know Bible, because I did not grow up in church. I was not the one out here quoting scripture. Like it was. So when people would argue with me about certain things, about, how I can get like people being too churchy or whatever. But I'm like, well, I can't vouch for y'all. This is all like God interceding on my behalf that gave me that hunger, because it wasn't like I didn't grow up in church like that.
Wow. So it wasn't until college that you found the Lord and found like more like a deeper relationship? Is that when it was?
Absolutely. Like in my own dorm room, living this, how you said, the partying. I was in a sorority, like turned all the way up to turn up. And
Wow.
Jeremiah 1, it was one day like in my dorm room that I just remember crying and God just speaking to me. And I opened my Bible, and I didn't use the Bible. It was hidden behind bookshelves. And I remember when I opened it, it was Jeremiah 1, where he said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. I ordained you to be a prophet to the nations.
Oh
and
my goodness, that's powerful.
It spoke to me. So it was no person. That's why. So when some people get like so stuck in religiosity and things, I'm like, I can't relate.
That's the word right there.
For me, like you quote, you be a bumper stickers, t-shirts, and everything. This is all relationship on this side. Like I tried other things and they didn't, help. But yeah, so that I met that mentor there, and we same initials, we were driving the same car, Vernae. Like we both had.
This is so weird.
Yes, and she was a speaker. She was an author. I learned like she instilled so much in me just by seeing what was possible. She just trusted me to come on, and I helped with like PR and started building websites. Like I just learned so much years ago from that relationship. So yeah, that my point with that too is just where so many people can think there needs to be a blueprint, or you got to have all the answers, or you have to be familiar with the lingo of guru, coach, mentor. I didn't know this lingo. It was just God ordering my steps. Like you're right where you need to be right now. Whoever you need, I feel like when you're ready, how they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
Just stay ready. You stay ready on God, get ready, and the opportunities will come that you need in that season.
Right. You said, what did they say? If you build it, that will come. And I don't even know who they is. I don't know where these things come from, but we just jump on the bandwagon and we pass it on down the line. So that's interesting. It's funny you already answered my question. I was going to ask you about where you found that mentor, because like we said, not everybody even understands what that is and what mentorship can be and what coaching can be, and that they need it. So I'm glad that you did find that. Now, are you still connected with this person today? Like, is she still around? This other Erica.
Yeah, I found her. Y'all, I'm gonna have to. She got married, so I'm like, I don't want to mess up her new last name. But she is so amazing. Shout out to Erica. Spelled with the K. It's her, Erica, Ericka, formerly Jackson. She has a talk show now. She's just like a ball of inspiration. And I learned from her in that season. Honestly, I haven't really talked to her since. It's been over a decade, but it was what needed to happen every season. Like as things are unfolding or I'm being elevated to something else, I've had so many mentors throughout, since that time. And we have to remember, like, mentor isn't just who do you get to sit down and have lunch with. I think of so many speakers that I've never met, books that I've read. Les Brown is everybody mentor. Come on. Yes. Absolutely. That part.
Okay, yes. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's awesome that you, even though she's not still around, like you said, some people just kind of, they say people are in your life for a reason or a season or a lifetime, but it's almost like they just drop in at the perfect time to do whatever it is. They understand the assignment. And like you said, you may not speak to them or see them every day, but it's like, wow, I got what I needed from them. And thank you, and you can still go back and look back and say, you know what, thank you for being who you were and what you did for me. So talk about the turning point where you're like, okay, I got this. There's something in me. There's something that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. And now I'm going to formulate this into, because you talked about it earlier, a movement. So tell me, how did that happen? Where did you get the name for what you were going to be doing? How you were going to be doing it? Even when you separated from this mentor, right? Because of course it's just like the teacher, all right. Or just like the mother and the baby. It's like, okay, now I got to wean you. Now you got to go off and spread your wings. Like they say, the bird, mama bird, she just listen, you're going to have to let that bird fly. I'm about to push you out the nest. And you're going to have to learn how to fly on the way out. So talk about that moment and how that happened.
Yeah, so I moved away. That's actually how she and I disconnected. But I remember having this vision because I was watching TV and magazines and everything, and nobody was putting out anything positive, in my opinion. I'm seeing, the local news, so-and-so got shot, drove down the street, and I was like, I can't do this.
I don't do the news.
Yes. And I knew, like, I had so many women in my circle that I'd gone to school with and different things. And all of them were like doing it. Like, they were in their area of expertise, financial advisors, some of them fitness experts, attorneys, whatever. I was like, we have to come together and bring a new message. And so I was like, man, we got to inspire people. So that's how I got the idea. The initial name of my company is Be Inspired. And I remember I got these letters, Vernae. I was like putting a little brand logo on these letters, sent them out to invite them to be a part of this vision that I had. Wow. And the first response was a no. This person told me no, they wanted to do something with purpose. And I was like, well,
I'm like, this is purposeful. What do you mean?
Right.
With purpose.
I was ready to quit. She said, no, sis, I want to do something with purpose. But I'm so glad she said no, because that gave me that fire. Like, well, you know what? Fine then, but everyone else started answering like right after that. I was ready to quit that first letter. I was like, maybe this was a stupid idea. But everyone else said yes. She was literally the only no. And it launched. And I don't know the time frames and stuff now because it feels so long ago. But I remember when my website just started growing and growing. And I started seeing the traffic pick up. And next thing I knew, like, people were coming internationally, like from this little idea that I was about to quit. And then people just started coming in. So that's where it started.
Oh man, I love that story. The first no, and you could have quit just like that, right? Because you're thinking, well, gosh, maybe this isn't a good idea. And the fact that you kept going, like you said, that was the only no. And you would have never known that if you stopped. Right. That is like, that's powerful. So I hope people get that. Okay. Put that in your pocket and take it with you, because really, and then you say, be inspired, and you're writing letters. So you're already doing like the footwork. And so you're inviting people to, what is it? A conference? Are you inviting people to, join a group, a membership? What were you actually saying in this letter? If you remember, I know you said it was like long ago.
I don't remember, but it was something like, girl, you out there killing it. Let's kill it together. I don't know, but initially it was a website. So it started as like a blog. And I say this because y'all are used to now websites. People can plug and play. This was not that time. This was called, you better know how to code. If you had an opt-in, you had to do PHP. Like, there was no.
And you learned all that from your mentor?
No, I learned that from the library. Too many people I went to the library. I started learning. When I knew what I wanted to do, I was just consuming information. I was getting like books on coding. That's how I learned how to build websites from scratch. And I was like, what a waste once all these new things came out. I learned so much because I was hungry. Like, when you get hungry, I was literally hungry. Like, there was no excuse. Like, too often people will say, well, I didn't know that mentors existed, or I didn't know this existed.
Okay.
And then I'm like, well, you just ain't hungry, because we have free libraries, still. So that's how I learned the websites, but I just brought them all together. And then I actually did an event. My first event was because I found out about teen moms at this local shelter that were running out of food for their babies. And so I was like, man, the community can do something about this. And so that's when I got into doing like events because of that.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Oh man, you were doing some really amazing things. And you were so innovative before it became like trending, right? Before it became a hashtag, right? Because we see it now and it's like everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. And you were blogging before people even knew what blogging was. So that is amazing. Like you said, you had the vision, you were hungry, and you went after it, and you had no other choice. So talk about the times where now you're in there, now you're getting a success, right? And you're picking up the momentum. Like you said, this website is growing exponentially, and it's really growing organically. She didn't buy followers. It's not like what we're talking about right now. I don't even know if there was no Instagram probably, right? There was no, it was, what was it, MySpace?
Yeah. IG wasn't out. Facebook had launched.
Was it dial-up?
Right. It's like not quite dial-up, but it was definitely like, I'm seeing stuff come out. Ads were not a thing yet on Facebook. All this stuff was just building. And it's so cool, like, to think about it now, because I'm like, I don't know, like when I felt like I just was older and knew all this stuff. I was like 2-3 years removed from being a teenager. So I was just, like that's when you don't think of consequences anyways. You're like, well, let me just go after it.
You're fearless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you're fearless. That's exactly what I get out of all of what you're saying that you're doing. And then of course your mom too. So it's like, wow, you were really, really going for yours and going harder,
Mhm.
even with having the responsibility of someone else, right? Because again, like you said, we can make excuses for, I don't know a mentor, or I have this, or I don't have that. And here it is, you had every excuse to say, you know what, I can't do this. I have to focus my attention on other places. But you really delved into your passion. So kudos to you for actually doing that and staying the course. So now you're picking up the momentum, you're getting some success. Talk about what that felt like, right? To have this upward trajectory, and what I guess you say barriers or setbacks that you came, or hiccups that you encountered over the course of, like, now your success. People know who you are, people know Be Inspired, people know you as an event planner, and really respecting you in that space. So talk about that.
Yes, I mean, life happened and so many
Doesn't
things
it
like
always?
transpired. I ended up getting married to the father of my daughter, and I thought we were going to live happily ever after. We didn't, unfortunately. And just so many different things happened in life. Like I've shared this on my platform if anyone's connected to me, where a natural disaster came through, washed the house out. Then my mom passed away, and that was like I said, that's my rock, my number one cheerleader. And what it showed me, though, going through all of these things, and even where I'm at, when I think about where I'm at today, is my mom can't do it anymore. She's not here. So now I have to, carry that torch. But even more than that is that everyone is going through something. Everyone. Like, sometimes we'll be in the middle of something and we're like, well, I couldn't do it. That's where I was at. I was like, look, I couldn't even get up. My mom passed away, or, I lost my house. Somebody else just lost their both parents and 5 kids. It's like, right. When I thought about that, and I'm not saying like we can't be sensitive and grieve properly or any of that, but when I started shifting my mind, and this has been recently, like, who hasn't? Like, man, I'm going through something. Okay, who isn't? Okay. Who hasn't? Like, right. So what are you going to do about it? Like, that's where we're at now. It's like, what are you going to do about it? Because everyone's gone through something. So that's just what it is. But now that's, that's life. So that's what it is. But that's where I'm at now. So I went through so many things, but each thing that I went through was an opportunity to get stronger, to learn more, to be more innovative, as you said, and just that hunger. It just built more of that hunger to do what I feel I've been called to do.
Oh my goodness. Well, first off, my condolences, and we've talked about loss and how devastating that can be, right? The loss of a parent. For me, it was my father, for you, your mother. But anybody, any key person, they don't even have to be blood related, someone that is just a part and integral to who you are and your identity, you feel like a piece of you is left. So that's always a devastating loss. And then of course the loss of a relationship, and being able to pick yourself up from that. But what I really love from what you said, and I want people to get, is that shifting, right? Like you said, that shifting of your perspective and your mindset, and understanding that you're not alone. You're not the only person going through this. And as bad as it seems in that moment, and you're like, oh my goodness, you want to like be in your pity party, there are other people, like you said, that have it worse, that are losing more, that, maybe didn't even make it to the other side, right? So it's so powerful that you made it, that you are now giving other people the key. You're giving other women the strength, and empowerment is so important for a lot of people when they don't even feel like they've got anything in them, right? They don't even know the word power. Some of us are in survival mode, let alone power, right? We can't even get to that part, right? Because we're still surviving and just getting by. So for you to turn around and now empower women to do what you essentially did is really amazing. So I do want to reiterate some of the things that you talked about, because I need people to get this, honey, and they need to take it with them and really just meditate on it as they go through their journey. So here it is. You've gone through, first of all, you've gone through motherhood. You've gone through going to school, feeling like you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing. You felt like, you've been doing certain things kind of indirectly, but you didn't really walk into the thing that, we know when people want to be a doctor, they specifically go somewhere. When they want to be a lawyer, they specifically go somewhere. Right. But in a case like this, speaking, empowering women, and vet planning and blogging, like there wasn't, like you say, a blueprint for that. So you made it happen. You were innovative. You created that vision, which I love. You stayed rooted and grounded and staying connected to someone that you know, you could learn from. But then what I really liked that you talked about was that even when you didn't have that person, because we don't always have somebody to, you know, nudge, you know, elbows with, you said, okay, well, I'm gonna get to the library, I'm gonna get to this free material, I'm gonna get to this free information, and I'm gonna get it any way I can. And so that just speaks to the person that you are. And like you said, the hunger is real. So when you have no other choice, that's what you have to do. And then I love faith, you know, people being rooted and grounded in something, right? I feel like it's so important that we're grounded and rooted in something that is above ourselves, something higher than ourselves, that we know that there is someone that has the master plan that is really looking out for us. So I love that you even gave those scripture references for people, Jeremiah and Matthew. So y'all go to that book, honey. If you got the good book, go on in there and play around in there, because there's so much value in what you will hear. You know, my one of my favorites is Jeremiah, where it talks about, you know, I know the plans I have for you, you know, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. And so that's a big one. And it's something I usually wear around my neck when I'm wearing gold. But today, you know, I'm doing something else. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that. I appreciate that even when you talk about that loss, that you just shifting your mindset, understanding other people are going through it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? So that's what I want people to hear. I want people to be able to plug into what you're doing and to find you later. So please tell everybody how they can find you and get in touch with you. What are you focusing on in your business right now or promoting?
Yes. Well, the best way to find me is across social media at Erica Empowers. Erica spelled like America, if y'all are just listening, can't see it. And what I'm promoting right now is what I always promote, being a go-giver. So if you are someone, if you're in business, you're looking to start marketing and getting your message out, I have a free membership at AmplifyHERlounge.com with all the tools that I wish back then, Vernae, when I was at that library trying to piece it all together, that I wish someone would have like given. And so that was really the spirit behind what I created, AmplifyHERlounge.com, to just give resources to those of you that may be in that hunger hustle mode right now, and you need it all packaged for you, pretty and easy to find.
Yes. So you guys heard it here. Erica Empowers, and that's Erica spelled like America, okay? And I hope y'all can spell America. Okay. And it's so funny, Erica Latrice is her name. It is so funny that she has the middle name that I have, Latrice, spelled the same exact way. So it's just funny how we all get connected in some way at some point in our life. So I really appreciate you being with us. And then also plug into that community, Amplify Her, and look that up across social media platforms. And then, of course, our Breakthrough Podcast. I appreciate you guys that have been rocking with us from day one, those that have been tuning in various ways, whether you want to watch it, whether you want to hear it and listen to it. It is definitely something that's going to help you hear from real people, real experiences. We are overcome by each other's testimonies. So stay plugged in, stay locked into our Breakthrough Podcast. I am your host, Vernae Taylor, where you're going to get the breakthrough map to go from breakdown to breakthrough, from pain to purpose, from your past to living your greatest story. So make sure you like and subscribe across all social media platforms. And until next time, keep breaking through. Bye.